And I guess as a service provider, mindset wise, you have to kind of accept you might bring something in
Mm.
and it may not stay with you providing it
Yeah,
like that throughout the
yeah,
whole sort of business career.
yeah.
How has that been, like, on an emotional level, as well as, like, can you do anything practically to protect that, and have you?
God, I remember I tried to copyright champagne spray, and they weren't
Didn't
having any of
work.
it. No, they weren't having it. I, it's flattery. If I look at the journey we've been on, we've always tried to stay ahead of the game. Like, for example, something very similar, like it's very simple, like having a saxophonist in a nightclub,
Hmm.
and sparklers on bottles. I think we I first did we first did that in 2003 in Marbella, and it was at a club called Pangea, and Pangea was in London, and we loved it. So we started doing it at all our events, and then as we went around the country, we were Liverpool and Leeds and Birmingham and Nottingham, and every city really we were doing events, and we did it every one, and people were like, oh, you're the guys that do the sparklers and the saxophone and the violin, because no one did it. But now you wouldn't really go to a nightclub and not see that.
Yeah.
But so it was, again, we were ahead of the game, but then you're like, oh, I wish they weren't doing it, but everyone does, because you
Hmm.
can't stop it. And I think, we've always stayed ahead of the curve, but there's only so many things you can do, like what can you do? So the one thing that we always kind of try and maintain is to keep the right kind of quality with the crowd,
Hmm.
keep the right service element, keep our staff happy in the fact that they're the way we deal with our customers. It is very much, we're a word, we're a concept, we're not bricks and mortar. So what we give is customer service. So we try our best to make sure the customer experience is happy. So yeah, it is the best they can have. So if, for example, they come to one of our brunches and they're not happy with something, rather than go away not happy, we try our best to sort of be the middlemen between them and the venue. We want our customers happy and want the venues happy. And so we kind of try and curate the better musicians, the DJs, and we kind of have a certain style of music we play, and we've always played that we know is attractive to sort of everyone. But yeah, it's difficult. Even
Hmm.
like we used to give away CDs in Marbella, and we called them summer sessions, Marbella sessions, and then one of our DJs decided to go to Ministry and do that himself
Hmm.
before we had the chance to do it. So when we launched our album, they were already selling well. So it's hard to it can be frustrating, and it can be a bit like, oh,
Hmm.
um, you just got to keep going.
Yeah.
That's the hard thing. I think why we're around 26 years later is sort of persevering and keep going.
Yeah.
It's very easy to not.
And you really have.
Mm.
How do you look for these gaps or this next thing?
it we talk, we look, we learn. We're trying to constantly listen to what people want. I think more than anything, it's trying to see what we would enjoy. I'm still certainly older than when I started, but it's always been about my lifestyle.
Hmm.
It certainly was when we started, what I was doing and what I enjoyed and where I would go, and feeling that was what other people might enjoy. And I think that's still very much the case. What do we enjoy? We really, at our stage of life, we've got a young team working for us that are in their early 20s that love bottomless brunches because they've never really experienced anything else.
Hmm.
And we've got our older team, I'm in my 50s now. We've got staff in their 40s and 30s that also all love the bottomless brunch element because it's daytime. I mean, we do nighttime brunches as well, but it's what we all enjoy. So I think it's really about feeling what we enjoy. Um, there are other brands doing really well in sort of raves or festivals or but that's not something I'm really I've never really done that or been that kind of person. I like going to a concert, but it's a different market. So
Hmm.
we've always gone with what we're comfortable and what we enjoy, which is more of the high end luxury feel of an event rather than maybe a field or a warehouse and
Yeah.
dancing. I'm not a good dancer.
So I guess without sounding like really cliche, it's like you stay true to who you are in the building of your brand and your business almost at all times as much as you can.
Yeah, definitely.
While still like listening to your team and yeah.
They tell me what they like and I ignore them. No, that's just not true. No, but it's you also get to know if it's working. Obviously, if it's not working, that I think in the last 5 years, certainly the brunches, we've had a couple of ones that haven't worked as well. Not often, but that tends to be location. Other things, like, for example, some things that can be frustrating, we'll start something, and it's always been the same with the parties. They get very successful, and I think it's not so much with the restaurants, but certainly with the nightclubs, we used to remember when, they'd come to you initially and be very, very keen to have you help, and it would get busier and busier, and then they'd go to a point where they get making the money that they think this is great, and how can we make more? And we can't make more. Well, how can we cut our costs? And they're like, oh, the promoter's taking a bit. Let's get rid of the promoter. We can do it ourselves now. And there'd always be that. I'd say there's always a look in their eye where you go, oh, okay.
Yeah. This is the day.
This is the day. This is when it's going to happen. They're going to want to change the deal. They're going to do something, which is frustrating because I'm a very much and always have been a handshake person and a man of my word. And there's not that many people around like that. The difference probably that's been since COVID, I think, is with the restaurants is that we're occupying spaces that aren't used. So we're doing, say, maybe the venues we do in Covent Garden, we do between the lunchtime and the pre-theatre trade, so they would be empty. So it's a great partnership, and it really works for everyone. And most of the events we've been doing since then have been about working for everyone rather than, I think, nightclubs probably is a bit more difficult.
And I think when there's more of a survival mentality, or people are a bit more ruthless or counting pennies more.
Yeah.
I mean, my business is service provision. I know the look in their eyes when they're like, we're going to go in-house. And you're like, cool. And you just go, I'll be here in 18 months when you need to come back.